up, STE family? It's your boy Run It Once, aka Mr. Bootcut Killer, here with Magic. What's up?
What's up? Spec here.
Yeah, so we have a very exciting show for you guys today. A lot to talk about. When playoff times come, everything just get a little bit more heated, a little bit more spicy, and
Oh
there's been
yeah.
some spicy stuff going on in the chat.
Yeah, you feel that playoff energy in the chat a little bit?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely some playoff energy going on in the chat, man. And I'm here talking my shit. Everyone is talking their shit. We getting ready. We getting ready. And here we don't duck no smoke. Boot cut don't
Nope.
duck smoke. And it was brought up. A topic was brought up that we wanted to go ahead and discuss from the Warriors. Shout out to the Warriors for
Yep.
providing us with this excellent topic today. So for those of you that don't know, the Warriors actually started off as the Magic. And in chat today, he said he felt slighted or, pretty much screwed out of his original team.
Mhm.
And of course, the Magic is Spec. So I'm here with Spec. We wanted to talk about it. We wanted to address this thing head on. So how do you feel about this whole situation, man?
I mean, I get it, I know you did some research, so we'll talk about that, kind of like break down what led to him being removed from the league, booted, whatever we want to call it. But I mean, I get it. If I was in his position, I'd probably feel the same way. I think it's important though for just everybody to like understand there wasn't any like hey, let's get rid of this dude so Spec can have this team or anything like that. It was really once, because we don't take removing somebody from the league lightly.
Right.
We try to be fair. We always talk about it, admin, and we don't always agree. Some admins will, pull for somebody to stay. I feel like we've had the same conversation / argument about coach every cycle for the past 5 years. But it's always a little back and forth. And when we were talking about it, when it was coming down to like Primo was going to make the call for him to to be out of the league, then I was like, I'll say, hey, I'll take the Magic because I like them big.
Oh my God! What did he say? Emotional damage.
Gay.
I said that for the chat.
Chill. Too much.
No, but
Pause, man.
I build teams a certain way. I always have. I mean, as long as I've been playing 2K, I think it helps make up for a little bit of like slow reflexes, and to have a little more like length and defensive whatever. So I looked at that team. It's like, hey, Isaac, Banchero, Bamba, all those guys. I was like, hey, if they're going to be open, I'll take them. That's the important part, though. If they're going to be open, I'll take them. Not like, hey, let's get rid of dude. Now, listen, I'm sure I was like, hey, boot this dude, I'll take the Magic, like in a joking way, but it was never like a real conversation. And I think it's important to understand that our admins wouldn't operate that way anyway. Like even if somebody did want to be shady and try and slide it on somebody's team, none of the other admins would have it. We don't roll like that.
And I agree. I think that our admin team is very balanced. I think that we kind of all keep each other in check. But like you said, I mentioned in chat that I did go back and do some research because it was a while ago, it was a couple of months ago now, to get a better understanding about what was going on at that time and what led to the whole team switching thing and what was going on. So I want to lead by saying, Warriors, I like the Warriors a lot. I like this game, I like his game. I think the first time I played him, he's a play caller like myself, and I always can easily identify a good play caller. So that is going to automatically like, hey, this guy is good. This guy knows what he's doing on the game. And I like seeing guys like that in the league. So with that being said, when he was first slacking off in games, I reached out to him. I was like, hey, pick up activity, blah, blah, blah. I know you have like, other stuff going on, but, pick up the activity a little bit. All right, fine. And then, so this is where the timeline starts though. So after that, he was still kind of low in games. On November 21st, I sent him another message saying, hey, look, you got to pick it up. You're on the border right now from getting kicked. So, this is about a week before playoff starts. So it was playoff time. People were looking for him. He's not really doing a great job communicating in the chat. So, and to be quite honest, everyone does not even get that courtesy. Like, let's be clear. We have kicked people before without notice. Like as we say in
Mhm.
the chat, like if you're not being the requirements, you're gonna get kicked. Period. But like I said, I like him. I want to see him in the league. I think he's good. He's a good guy to have for the league. So I reached out to him November 21st. Um, that led to him getting kicked 11/29. So November 29th, he ended up getting booted. And the next day he was like, "Hey, look, why did I get kicked off of my team?" And he
Mhm.
asked to get back in the league. So what happened was on 11/29, Primo pulled up like a screenshot of his chat activity because in
Pull those
Discord you can
receipts.
search. Yeah, pull the receipts. You can see who's been talking in the chat. So he searched for his name in the main chat, and it was clear he did not ask for a
Yeah.
game. He was being active in the chat in that way, and he had only played 3 games since that initial conversation with me,
Mhm.
right? So that's not great. But to his point, he said that he was within the minimum games requirement. So this is mostly true. Like this is 98% true. So what happened was before, like I mentioned, this is playoff time. We all know that what happens in playoff time is when people can start submitting
Yeah.
forces. So he was within the playoff requirements before the forces went out, right? And then after the forces went out, I would say he was like literally half a game behind or
Mhm.
something like that. Now, normally he's right because he mentioned something in the chat. He's like, "Look, if I had the Jazz, I would still be in the league." Normally, that's true. I think that that's probably true because at the end of the day, one, from an admin perspective, is anyone going to really want to come in and fill the Jazz? No, not really.
No,
But
absolutely
I
not.
think he had some negative things working for him. One, he was still relatively new, right? And two, I think Primo was kind of on a rampage because the Magic is a good team.
Yeah.
In Primo's mind, I know he's looking at it like you have a good team. I don't want a mediocre active guy holding up a good team.
Yeah.
So we made the decision to go ahead and remove him. And then right away he was like, "Hey, I want to get back in." And so, but by then you had already switched to the Warriors.
Yeah.
I mean, switched to the Magic. So it
Yeah.
was like, "Look, I'm not getting off the Magic. Like I just switched here." And so he's kind of stuck. He's kind of assed out. So,
Yeah.
it was definitely not a just a, "Oh, I want the Magic. Let's get this guy out of here." Like you said, it was a process. Like he had some time to pick the activity up. It didn't really work out. And so that is the full story of how Spec became the
Well,
Magic. So
and I think it's also important too you think about, you mentioned like playoff time coming, people looking for forces. If somebody's not responding to DMs,
right.
and if people start DMing Primo, like,
Yeah.
"Hey, listen, I don't know if there's anything Primo hates worse than people blowing up his DMs about stuff that he don't need to handle." You know what I mean?
That's
And so
true,
if he's
man.
got
That's
people like,
true.
"Hey, Magic's not responding," blah blah
Hmm.
blah, he's definitely probably going to have a less grace for that dude than if Magic be like, "Hey, I'm busy, you
Yeah.
can have the force."
Right.
So I think it was as much communication, probably more so lack of communication than it was activity. And listen, at the end of the day, if on like December 1st, Primo been like, "Hey, we just need to flip it back, confess the Magic back, you go back to the
Hmm.
Warriors." I mean, I've been disappointed because I was looking forward to using that team, but it'd been fine because I'd have still done what I did with the Magic, and that's like
Yeah.
try and move pieces to build a team that I feel like I can compete with. I mean, I was doing that with the Warriors already, trying to get some defenders in there, trying to get some more size, pause, and just trying to do my thing with them. So yeah, it sucks. If I was in his shoes, like I think I said earlier, I'd probably feel the same way. But it's just probably a good lesson for not just him, anybody else that's new. Like, communication is king.
For
If you
sure.
got
In
stuff,
this
if you got
league.
stuff going on and you just tell people, it's not a deal. I think that's probably a good segue to talk about like our current champion,
Ah,
the
yeah,
Atlanta
right. The
Hawks,
Hawks. Yeah, the
right?
Hawks.
Because I don't know if we've ever seen a champ not make the playoffs next year. But hey,
Yeah.
dude's sick. He has school going on. He hadn't been able to play this season. And you know what? It's not a big deal because he let people know what was going on. So he's good.
Right.
Whereas if he
Right.
just ghosted and not responded to anybody's messages, he'd have probably been booted weeks ago.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
agree. I totally agree. Yeah, that's definitely the case. I agree with everything that you said. Shout out to the Hawks. It's crazy that he went from champion to not making the playoffs,
Yeah.
but really it's only due to activity, of course.
Yeah.
But this is STE. This is a very active league.
Hmm.
Just because we have our point system, we have which I think is great. So, and
Yeah, I
talking about the
agree.
playoffs, it's like for so everyone should know this because everyone should read the rules, first of all.
Mhm.
But for every
First of
win, you
all,
get 3 points, and for every loss, you get 1 point. So if you have a guy that's playing 58 games, even if he's sub 500, that guy is going to make the playoffs before a guy that's like 25-2. Even though
yeah.
that 25-2 record looks great, the bottom line is you do not have the points to back up your playoff claim, back up your playoff run, right? And I think that this is a great balance between rewarding active guys, active users who are not like maybe like the absolute best users, but
Yeah.
they're super active, because the playoffs is fun and anything can happen in the playoffs. We've seen it. We've definitely seen it. And but also keeping that balance with like the skill guys, the users that are good at the game. I think that this is a really happy medium. I like the point system. And also the 35 game minimum
Yeah, I was about to
to make
say.
the playoffs. Yeah,
Yeah.
so like you can talk about that a little bit because that's new for this season.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I think it's made a huge difference. I think it's balanced everything out. And it's also kept, because there was a lot of frustration in cycles past where you'd have guys last week that had like in 15 games. And then they're like starting and quitting, which we tried to like police, but that's hard. I mean, obviously when you
Yeah.
see the 160 to 159 score, they start and quit. But people start and quit, or they be playing like a quarter or a half, or they just be giving out forces or like looking for forces, right? Because some of these guys, if they don't communicate, then you just be sly with it and be like, "Oh, see, he didn't respond, so give me my wins."
Right.
And so I think it's kind of curtailed that a little bit. So it forces you to at least be, I think, moderately active to be
Throughout the
eligible.
season.
And I think it's a good thing. And from the point system to the cutoff of the playoffs, I just think it balances the competition. It rewards the sweaty dudes. It rewards the dudes that's going to win a bunch of games. It rewards the guys, like me, that are mediocre, but try to get their games in.
Yeah.
It rewards the guys that play a ton of games early, like like Flores, who will have like 58 done in like 2 weeks. But
Yep.
he may not ever win like 50 games. He might, you never know. But he's going to get his games in, so he's going to be rewarded for his activity. So, and I think that's important because, I mean, listen, no matter how good you are, I don't think anybody wants to play in a league just like full of sweats. You know what I mean? It's nice to have that balance. It's nice to have that balance of like, okay, this dude's probably going to beat me, or this is going to be a tough game, or like, okay, I can probably coast and like experiment, with some plays or some stuff in this game. So I don't know. I just think it helps keep the league balanced overall.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point, I think, and something else that I wanted to talk about because like, STE is so different
Yeah.
than when I first joined, like I think I want to say like 4 years ago, something like that at this point. Um, so I've always been a god at 2K, so it's
Yeah.
whatever. But the average player in STE was way worse back then
Oh,
compared to now,
way
like
worse.
way worse. You had at least five guys making the playoffs that would never sniff the playoffs in today's STE. And it's been like, like we were kind of talking about it offline a little bit, like a culture shift a little
Yeah.
bit in STE. So you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Cause I mean, I don't know when I joined. I guess it's like probably like 5 cycles ago, something like
Hmm.
that. And like you said, it's way different. I mean, part of it's we're way less lenient with people now because there were dudes that would ghost coach. Those guys, they would get
Yeah.
booted, they would come back, they would get booted, they would come back, but the overall skill level, the bar's been raised like so high.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty crazy. And like you've seen, I think like, and it's funny, we talked about some of these guys, with the activity and the communication, but like Hawks, Nuggets, Warriors, Heat, who I know we're going to talk about in a minute. Those are four guys that have all come in the last like cycle or two and really like they've all like really competed. Usually new guys that come into STE have a little bit more of an adjustment period
Yeah.
where it feels like those guys kind of came in and really just started competing right away.
I agree. And it's funny because you mentioned the Nuggets, and I remember when the conversation was, should we bring back the Nuggets? And I was personally against it this cycle because he has a history of not being active. I'm like, look, guys,
Yeah.
why are we wasting our time? And but I gotta say, like, this is the most active I've seen him.
Mhm.
But it's just unfortunate, like, and he's like you said, he's balling, he's hooping.
Yeah.
He's playing great with Jokic. He's made some trades that people didn't really like love, but the trades are working for him
Yeah.
for sure. Like he knows what he's doing. I think it's very clear he knows what he's doing at 2K, right? So he's one of those guys that's literally on the border. Like I don't think he's going to be able to make the playoffs because
Yeah.
like he has a few games left, and I haven't seen him be active. But he's close. You know, if it was one of those situations where it was like, look, if he had just played maybe 5 more games, 6 more
Mhm.
games, he would be in the playoff mix. And the same exact thing with the Warriors. If the Warriors, I think the Warriors needs to win, like he needs to play and win at least 6 games to be in the playoff mix. So, you know, just because you make that minimum game requirement to get to the playoffs,
Yeah.
it does not guarantee you a spot in
Yeah.
STE playoffs, baby. It's you know, you still got to earn it because people are playing 58 out here. I always say like the average for playoff teams is really 58. Like
Yeah.
most, like 90% of playoff teams have 58 games, whether that's through, you know, communication forces or but a lot of guys just play, you know, like it's like I definitely play 58 pretty much every season. Flores, you know, Rockets, Raw, the Cavs have been playing hella games, you know, like a lot of people,
Yeah.
Motown, they just naturally play the game. We love the game. And it's you know, we get games in over
Yeah.
here. So
Well,
I think it's
and
definitely
like
something to keep in mind.
as far as the playoffs go too, like outside of the top 5 or 6, it's still really in flux. And like
Yeah.
season's supposed to end like tomorrow.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a lot, like even me, I know I got like 5 or 6 games left, and it's like I could sneak in, I might not. I really don't care. I'm not gonna win anything, but I wouldn't mind the extra badges. That's what the playoffs
Yeah,
are for me right
that's
now. It's
right.
like
That's
badges for
right.
next season. You know what I'm saying? But also just a quick shout out to Rock, because I'm proud of my boy for not blowing up his team within the first 2
Yeah,
seasons.
yeah.
Like, you know,
No, he
hey,
did good.
hey, he's tough, bro. Embiid, he might make some noise this playoffs. So
It's
shout
gonna
out to
be
Rock.
this whole playoffs is gonna be so interesting. Like you said, really everything is still in flux. There's like I mentioned the Cavs. If depending on how he finishes it out, he can shake up like the 6 through 10 range.
Yeah,
The Heat is actually in a position to finish as the third seed. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish. I think he has like 2 or 3 games left. And if he wins all those, he's for sure has the third seed locked up. So and there's a lot that can happen. Like you're on the cusp. Pistons, if he gets games in, he's on the cusp. The
yeah.
you know Nuggets, Thunder. There's like 6 guys that's still vying
Well,
for
even
those
Raps, like
spots.
the Bing is down there. He's like at the last spot right now just because of activity.
Oh,
Now I don't know what
Trailblazer,
kind
yeah,
of
the
forces
Blazers,
he
yeah,
has lined up, but you know, I'm
yeah,
saying is, I mean, we know who Bub is, so that's not a thing. But
right,
it's still
right.
it's kind of crazy to see him down there.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a lot going on, and you know, and that it makes a big difference on the brackets. It makes a big difference whether you know who makes it, who doesn't. So it's been a really interesting and really great season. I love to see this, right? Like there's no clear cut top 16 players. You
Yeah,
know, like these guys are always going to make it. Now I think we're really at like 20, and you know our playoffs is so strong without even our last season's finals winner, right? Like the
yeah,
Hawks is not in the playoff mix, and it's still like, oh, all these guys have a chance, and you know there's no easy matchups, there's no easy person for the number 1 seed to pick. It's you know I am loving where the league is going because like we talk about the culture shift. Like I'm competitive, I do want to
yeah,
play in a league full of sweats because like you know like that's what I enjoy. Like I
yeah.
enjoy getting on the
I
game
like
and
balance because I don't
letting the
want to go
walls
10
off.
and 48 every season. So I
Fair
like
enough, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, so I also wanted to another topic was brought up today in the chat that has always been an issue, right? Like not an issue, but all been a source of people complaining. Different play styles,
yeah,
right? So everyone has their own little play styles. Everyone has their things that they're good at, bad at, whatever. Their method of cheese, or you know, as Ra would say, everyone has their own cheese that they do,
yeah,
right? So, but the one of the people that were brought up today was the Heat. Okay, so he's a new guy. Shout out to Don't Let Me ISO. What's up, man? He was on the podcast already, so
yeah,
y'all already know who he is. Um, so do you have you played the Heat?
yeah. I played him a few times.
Okay, so how do you feel about his play style? Like what's going on with how he plays?
I mean, I don't know. I don't guess I played him enough to have the issue that some guys do. I mean, it was
Hmm.
frustrating playing him, not necessarily because of what he was doing, because like, he has a few plays that he likes once you kind of like start to read him, set him up. You can kind of mess with those. Now, listen, he don't need the plays because he's a good user. And we all know Dame and Hero, like
lights out.
They drive to the basket like they're 7 feet tall, especially Dame. But like the frustrating thing for me, and I don't know if this is, we may have talked about this. I don't know if this is something he's causing, like he knows a way to cause it. But literally, like one time I played him in the first half, he had shot like 22 free throws. And I shot like one.
You're not the only person that that comes up against, right? So for those who have not played the Heat or who don't know what we're talking about, so the complaint is, he has maybe 2 or 3 different play actions that he likes to run. That is very what a lot of people would say are very meta, right? Like clears out one side of the floor, you got a double screen coming on the other side of the floor. So it's kind of a lot to keep up with. Even if, with our off-ball rules being so light with the plays and stuff, even with that being the case, it's still not like guaranteed to stop it. So a lot of people are like, look, you run the same play over and over again, mix it up. But the Heat, I think he like kind of enjoys being this villain in a sense where he's just like, look, y'all not going to talk me out of my game. This is how I play. I'm not breaking any rules unless you can show me that you can beat it. I'm not changing it up, because I think in the playoffs he also played he played Will in the playoffs last season, and I think he zoned him every single game, all 4 quarters, right? And so, and I watched some of the games. It wasn't like a weird off-ball zone or anything like that. It was just a flat-out zone. And
I mean, there's a little off-ball in every zone, but like nothing egregious.
Nothing crazy, right? It was nothing crazy, and like his whole thing was like, look, you can't. I don't think you can shoot. So I'm going to make you beat me by shooting me out of the zone. And if you can't, you can't. So it's just interesting to see, like, a guy coming in. And like you say, he's a good user. So he's a good user, 1. And 2, he, runs the same things and doesn't care how, F your feelings kind of thing.
Well, it's interesting, too. I think part of that is being a new guy, because I feel like now there's some guys that just don't care anyway. But I feel like the longer you're somewhere, you're in like a league. Like for me, like, a lot of us been in this league for a few years now. And like, even if you're not friends, you're like your peers, like, know each other. And so you're probably, somebody that you feel like you're cool with, you're less likely to be whatever. And it's somebody you don't know, you're just like, I don't care. F you. I'm going to do what I do. Where, I think it's less of that. Like if it's somebody, like even yesterday, and we can talk about this in a minute, like me and Bub went out a little bit when we were playing. And
let's get into that now. So what was the drama? So this was some admin drama here. What was going on, man?
Like he just hit. I know I frustrate him. Period. Like I know, and I know that I do. But like, listen, he's the king. So whatever. If I can frustrate the king, then I'm doing something right.
Yeah, I hear that.
So it's like, but I don't know. I guess I use the same freelance most of the time, and just something about the freelance. Just he don't like it.
So something about.
I mean, you played me.
Let's shoot straight here. Something about the freelance. So you and Heat, the play that Heat runs actually looks a lot like the point freelance that you run, because it clears out one side and you get a double screen action on the other side. So I understand that, like, and Bob is like a quote unquote basketball purist, even though he does some cheese shit too. But he doesn't like to see it. So like it was crazy to see him like go crazy in the chat. I don't want to ever hear about me running across the he was going crazy in the chat, man.
What's funny is right when he said that he had done it, and then he flash paused like he does. So it was kind of his like
yeah.
So I knew what he was doing, but I was just like, I don't know. It took me back a little bit, because I'm like, if you got a real problem, then like let's talk about it. Because like Bub is one of the people that I feel like I'm cool with, and so that's why I was just like, why are we doing this out here? Because you know how it is. If anybody starts beefing in main chat, then everybody's just gonna pile on. So I was like, if we, if there's a real problem, let's talk about it. But the fact that it was a main chat threw me. But I mean, I get it. But like I told him, like he was defending the 3-point actions off of it. So I had 2 options. I could like drive it, or I could wait for that cut when you throw it to the baseline. You throw it to the baseline, wait like 2 seconds, and that guy on the wing, he cuts to the basket. Or the guy that comes up for the 3-pointer. I'm telling my whole strategy here. The guy that comes off the double screen, he comes up for the 3-pointer. If he don't get the 3-pointer, a lot of times he'll like cut to the basket.
Cut to the basket, right?
So, like, I get it, but like, Bub's one of the best defenders in the league. So it's like, man, I gotta do what I can to score points out here. I mean, I guess I could just shoot threes and him covering me up. But I don't know. it was funny. It was
Yeah,
weird. We're good. We're
it's
good.
always
You know, it's
funny.
fine.
It's
It's
always
just
funny to see, different guys like going back and forth about different things. Like I remember, like so I've played the same way for years, and this year it's just so happened that plays aren't as overpowered as they have been, like
yeah,
as they were like last year. So even though I play the exact same, no one's really like complaining about my play style as much
yeah.
anymore because it's like the plays aren't as powerful. So it's like it's just interesting to see like what is cheese, what's not anymore. But I agree. I think everybody has their own thing. But my stance is like, look, if you're not breaking the rules, play how
Mhm.
you want. But just be ready to hear about it
Well, and
because
like
people
you
in the
said,
chat gonna let
everybody
you
has
have
their
it.
thing, and everybody has play styles they do better against, and play
Hmm.
styles they struggle against. Like I struggle against the dudes that'll do like the constantly looking for the speed boost, like
Yeah,
step back, left, right, and then try and get the driving lane.
old hands, man, old
Bro,
hands.
I know I do. I struggle against it. So is it like annoying to me? Sure, but like it
Hmm.
is what it is. And until I can get better defending it, I
Right,
can't really
got it,
complain because
got
they're
it,
not
got to
breaking
do it.
rules. Like no matter how lame I think it is, as long as they're not
Hmm.
breaking rules. Now, listen, I'll die on the hill. Like if you run a guy by a 3-point shot down to the other end for a wide open layup, like 5 or 6 times a game, you're lame. Period. I don't care.
Period.
I
That's
don't
that's
care.
that's your breaking point.
That's that's me, bro. I can't do or the spamming the charge.
So
You
no,
you see the
I don't know.
you
I don't
see
know
the
whether I think spamming charge like to me that's skill because I'm anticipating that you're running at me. I don't
I
think it
mean,
takes any skill to run to the other side of the floor after a 3-point attempt.
yeah.
Like I think that's pretty
The thing
cheese.
that's frustrating me about the charge thing is that almost so like I know you play Madden a little bit, but Madden had this thing for a long time where they complain about like suction blocks, like
Hmm.
guys getting sucked into a block, even if they weren't really, it was like
Going that
a flaw
direction
in the
kind of
game
thing.
design. I feel like the charge thing does the same thing because a guy like charge here and you're trying to go by, but it feels like it sucks you into the guy. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's the
Hmm.
part that's frustrating to me, but I'm also like a paint masher. So of course I'm going to
Yeah.
get frustrated by
Yeah.
the by the charge. So it is what
For
it is.
sure, for sure. But yes, so that was one of the things that we wanted to talk about, man. And but another topic actually, and this one was submitted by the Mavs. He's kind of feeling himself
Okay.
because he made a trade in season 1. He traded Luca for Scotty Barnes and 2 first-round Raptors picks. They were both
Yeah.
like future picks, 2023 and 2024. Now, the Raptors historically has done really well in our league, right?
Yeah.
So at the time, I was like, oh, the Raptors pick isn't really going to be that good. I wasn't sure about the trade. I was letting them know, like, look, I don't know if you got max value for Luca, essentially, right? But looking at the standings today,
Yeah.
Raptors, if the league ended right now, Raptors is like the 7th draft odds. So
Yeah.
so Mavs is going to be probably like top 3 draft odds,
Mhm.
and then Raptors is going to be like top 10. Let's just say top 10. So
Yeah.
this trade is like looking really strong for the Mavs. Like, do
Yeah,
you
it
think he
really
got
is.
lucky? Do you think he kind of saw this coming? Like, what do you think happened here?
I don't know, man. It's crazy because, people kept dragging Raptors a little bit for his roster moves, and he just kept saying he had like a master plan, and we didn't get it. He had
Mm,
the most like cap flexibility, roster flexibility next season. So I guess next season will tell if that's true or not. I don't know if he's going for free agents or what, but it is shocking. And he's been like really quiet the last like week or two. I don't think I've seen him in
mm-hmm.
chat. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. We'll see. It felt like that he had kind of like didn't have the same fire that he had when he was
So you
in the
think
league
he's
a
kind of
couple
starting to
cycles ago.
capitulate a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's obviously worked out well for the Mavs. Now, I mean, it's kind of a lucky move because I feel like if Raptors is trying, if he's playing, it doesn't work out this way. But it just so
Hmm.
happens that it didn't, and he's going to get like a really nice pick. So hey, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, shout out to you, Mavs.
Yeah.
Excellent trade. I don't know if it
Also,
was,
shout out for the tank, not tank job this season.
oh, the take not take job. I don't know. The Mavs roster is not the best. Really, all
It's
he has
not, but
is
we've
Jabari
heard
Smith
Texas
Jr.
player tell us many times how he's the
Hmm.
best user in the league or one of the best users in the league. So, I mean, I don't know, but nah,
Well,
he's
who knows? Who knows what's really going on there? But I'll say this: at least he sat there and played 50. I don't
no, he
really think he
did.
took a lot of forced losses or whatever. he sat there and played them 58 games. You know, I mean, losing hurts. Losing sucks.
Yeah.
I can't see myself losing 50 games in a season. I go crazy. I go crazy. And I know
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
for sure.
Mavs is a competitor, so I know it's tough for him too. But like you said, we'll see. I think next season he's really going to take off with these 2 draft picks, and you know, Jabari Smith Jr. is really going to blow up. So it's going to be. I think his team has got some real potential to make some noise. So but yeah, I think we've covered it all, folks. You know, I
Yeah.
wanted to and again, if you guys have any topics that you ever want to talk about, you know, my DMs is always open. Hit me up in the main chat, hit me up in the DM, you know, and we'll talk about it here. We are here for you guys, you know, like
Yeah,
so
we are, man. And it's looking forward to playoffs. Even if I don't make it in, it's just always fun, you know, seeing the match offs. Wow, the matchups, seeing the chatter in chat. So we'll see, but hopefully I can slide in there and annoy somebody for a round or two. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm also looking forward to the playoffs. You know, so everyone like finish them games up, get them games in because the playoffs is here. And best of luck to everybody in the playoffs. And if you're not in the playoffs, best of luck to you in the off season. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. I should have 30 likes and 30 subscribers at least
Every
at
time.
least 30, every time
Yep.
time I should have 30 likes on here. But shout out to y'all for watching. Thank y'all for your time, man. And you know, we're signing off. Take care.
Yeah. See you guys. Peace.